computer. This progress is in recording.
Nobody's gonna listen to this episode.
No, nobody.
No one likes this. No one likes this Twilight Zone episode. That's my guess.
Okay, well, we'll find out. So just jump into it then. Okay.
Yep.
Welcome to Time Enough Podcast. It's where we talk about episodes of the Twilight Zone and beyond. We're finished with Beyond for now, possibly forever. We're back to the zone, back to the middle of season 3. Person or persons unknown. This is Matt here. Over there's Mark. What is
Hi,
it?
it's Mark. Excited to be back on this podcast to resume talking about this show right when it jumps the shark.
Oh, okay. Oh, is this a shark jump for you? It's a
Yeah,
big reveal at
big
the
old
start.
shark jump.
Okay, well,
I just jumped to the end of the episode, I guess, but yeah.
we'll get into that a bit, but
Mm.
I will start with the trivia. The original air date was March 23rd, 1962. This episode was directed by series regular John Bram and written by Charles Beaumont, who typically brings his sharpened blade of trippiness to the zone, but maybe not here, according to Mark. We will see.
That's trippy, but
David Gurney was played by Richard Long. He was a TV man taking on leading roles on The Big Valley, Nanny and the Professor, and Bourbon Street Beat. But he still made it to the big screen a couple of times, most notably in William Castle's House on Haunted Hill.
ooh,
Frank Silvera
well,
played Dr. Kozlenko. His trade was mostly on the Broadway stage, where he won a 1963 Best Actor Tony for his role in The Lady of the Camellias. He also founded the LA-based Theater of Being, which was a venue for Black actors, and appeared in Stanley Kubrick's first 2 films, Fear and Desire and Killer's Kiss. Those are the ones that I don't think even Kubrick would. He wouldn't refer to those as his first films. He's like, first one's Killer,
mm.
which has just been remade by.
Wait, that's the Fincher movie is a remake of the Kubrick movie?
I don't know that. I just assumed that. I could be wrong. You know what?
I
I think
don't
I'm
think
wrong on
so.
that. Yeah,
I don't
no,
think so.
no. I thought that, and then I saw an article, and then realized I was wrong, but I haven't like programmed that into my head yet. So,
I
yeah,
haven't seen either one, so don't tell anybody.
okay. I was just kind of hoping for that. That Fincher would be like, "Oh, I'm going to remake a Kubrick. That'd be interesting."
That would, yeah, I'd be into that. You should remake a Clockwork Orange and call it Fight Club 2.
Oh, a little bit more trivia. Sorry. Our first Wilma was played by Shirley Ballard. While her professional credits are a little slim, she was Miss California in 1944. Um, I guess that just got her a few roles because Wilma doesn't speak that much in here, does she? So
Not a little bit more than two Wilma 2.
more than 2, but yeah, not that much. Just on IMDb or Wiki or whatever, it was just like cameo, uncredited, blah blah. So I was like, oh, I guess that's not a whole lot of credits. Um, I think I mentioned a few times I was transcribing the One Step Beyond prologues, but now you get to be lazy again and just you know spew forth the Twilight Zone prologue onto the screen in a moment. Yes, I'm vamping because I forgot to do it ahead of time. Okay,
Okay.
here we go.
Okay, I'm just gonna make up a character. Cameo of a man who has just lost his most valuable possession. He doesn't know about the loss yet. In fact, he doesn't even know about the possession because, like most people, David Gurney has never really thought about the matter of his identity. But he's going to be thinking a great deal about it from now on because that is what he's lost. And his search for it is going to take him into the darkest corners of the Twilight Zone.
Right, you gave up right at the
I
cusp.
didn't give up. That was a choice.
Okay, we all make choices.
I make a lot of them.
Excuse me for froggy voice, everyone. Today, it's as I told you before we started recording. It got very dry and very cold all at once, and my sinuses are against that. It seems.
Gotta toss you back into the pond. Look out. Gonna
Yeah.
toss you back in the pond.
Oh no. So
Whoa.
I thought this one might like hit your personal fears as per our earlier conversations. Just the idea that everyone suddenly doesn't know you and stuff. So, but it seems you
It,
did not land on that page.
this is the thing. This is like the most cynical plot twist I've ever seen in my life, possibly in anything. The plot twist is it was a dream. Also, now his wife's somebody else. It's just I can't. This is the thing. I cannot.
Just go
I
with it. You
cannot
just
make my.
upgraded.
I cannot. When something is just a dream, I cannot make my brain take it seriously.
I had a slightly different reaction. I just thought of the Simpsons where Homer is traveling through time and with his toaster, and at the end is like,
Mm.
close enough.
Yeah, that makes sense. But also, it's sort of a thing where this is far from the only case of this, but a lot of it you're just staring at what's his name, David Gurney.
David Gurney.
David, you're just staring at David Gurney, and he just doesn't understand what's happening at all. It's just he will not accept that there are alien forces. He's like, someone's out to get me. Like nobody. I don't know. Maybe I'm not enough of a conspiracy theorist. I feel like nobody would go through that much trouble to screw with this guy who's obviously sort of just a regular schlub who doesn't really have any enemies, doesn't really have any power. But
Now,
then,
well, it could just be a weird trick of the universe. I mean, that's kind of, I mean, I guess in
yeah,
Groundhog's Day, Bill Murray's
yeah.
character is a bit of a prick, but I mean, he's not like more so than a lot of people.
But the thing is he doesn't ever seem to understand what's actually happening until it starts just getting weird, and then he wakes up. It's sort of like what I was watching, what I was reacting to is this guy just not actually getting what's happening. It's just I guess this is a typical like white male from the 60s. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean I don't exist? That's
I'm not
ridiculous.
entitled
Get someone on the
anymore.
phone. Get someone on the phone and I'll tell them who I am. They'll tell you.
I'll tell you who I am, which I'm
Here's the
doing right now.
secret bartender that I have enough money to go see every day and don't tell anybody about. Ah, he'll
Now
tell
you're
you.
now you're turning into Cary Grant's Walter Thornhill or whatever his name was in
Yeah,
North
it's
by
like
Northwest.
tell somebody. Yeah, but the thing is that he actually dealt with his situation. Okay, he dealt with it stupidly, but not this. This is just an oblivious
Roger, not
guy.
Walter. There, just my memory is
Did I
coming
say?
back to me.
Oh,
No, I said Walter instead
oh,
of
you
Roger.
said Walter. All right. Um, yeah, he dealt with it kind of stupidly, but sometimes he was smart. And this guy just incredulous. That's all it. He's just incredulous the whole time. And the twist doesn't. It sort of doesn't work because I'm thinking to myself, so I guess why would his wife have the same house? I guess he didn't get anyone a job who works there because they wouldn't have had a job there if he hadn't existed. He is he so insignificant that the world is exactly the same with him never existing?
Sure.
That's kind of wild, right?
Maybe she was a trust fund kid and they were living on that money and bought a house with that money.
That makes perfect sense. But there was enough to just put a little bit of a like she didn't decorate the house differently living by herself. It was just sort of
I mean,
the
we could make
little thing, and then the photo lab thing didn't make any sense at all, really, for it to for her to be in the photo and then she's not in the photo. But
Back to the
obviously,
Future
that was the
logic.
part that's that's the waking up from the dream is like this isn't right. I'm gonna then makes you wake up, and then it was just a dream, and you've just been watching a dream. So
Yeah. The
yeah,
other
this
the other
pushes buttons different than what you thought they were pushing.
oh, the other thing that really came to mind with Simpsons wise was the world without zinc.
Which one was that?
It's where the kid's like, I don't care about zinc, and then all the zinc in the world disappears.
Vaguely
He
remember that.
tries to kill himself with a pistol, but the pistol doesn't work because the
Oh
firing
right, it's like
mechanism that needs zinc.
no. Right. Okay. That was just a scare film that happened in that series for like a couple minutes, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I guess just in terms of
I,
incredulousness,
I was
that
just
came to
my
mind.
brain was like, what episode was based was that, and that wasn't really a plot of an episode.
I, I I was just actually talking to people about this last night, but on Star Trek: The Next Generation, there's the episode Frame of Mind, which is a little bit like this, maybe done better. Do you remember that one? That's where Commander Riker's in a weird alien psychiatric institute and keeps like waking up into another illusion of an alien institute or being on the Enterprise, and then that's a delusion and stuff.
I vaguely remember that. Honestly, I'm starting to slip whenever I hear references on mission log of episodes of that series. So I think I just need to go back, and I think it's been overwritten in my brain by a bunch of other stuff,
You need to make
and have to go do
flashcards.
another one.
You
I have
write
to
the
go do
episode
another
title.
rewatch.
You write the episode title on one side and like a one sentence plot summary on the other side, and then you do those at parties.
That sounds
Do the
great. Everyone
flashcards.
will be very excited.
Hey, they might be at this point in time. He does commit grand theft auto twice. He knows he's doing well. The first time he doesn't quite know, but the second time he definitely knows.
We have, the Twilight Zone little trademark of a guy falling out a window, but he just absolutely just jumps through it like he's a brick being thrown through the window. It's
Oh,
incredible.
that was the best way to get out of a psychiatric office
But
ever. So that was I love that little moment. That's I bet they put bars on those windows in the future. Yeah, my note is
yeah.
yes, that is the way we leave a mental institution.
I mean, don't get me wrong. This was a fun episode to watch. It's just the twist kind of ruined it to me.
Yeah,
Because
it's weird.
it
I
was
almost forgot about the twist. I say that more and more for these episodes where it's like the twist like is barely like noticeable for me. Like I mostly forgot about this until we started talking about it just now. I was like, what are we going to talk about? Oh, that confrontation with his wife, this experience talking to the doctor. That's what stuck with me from this episode. And
mm.
yeah, the twist, I was like, whatever. Okay. The twist seemed frivolous. I will give it that. Whereas the
But
before that was a little bit more weird, dark.
I just I know I know 99% chance that the way this was written was they wrote it and they had something good and they couldn't figure out how to tie a bow on it, so they just did something and good enough. But in my in my mind, when I'm watching this, it's sort of like, oh, you're looking for a twist, are you? Well, guess what? It was just a dream. Oh, and his wife's different. It feels just totally cynical. Like, here you go. Here's some slop, you idiot.
Maybe. Because yeah, I
I
feel
mean,
like Beaumont is kind of coming in with the, non-buggy Kafka sort of views, like this or
he
perchance to
usually,
dream.
yeah, I feel like he usually hits for me pretty good. um, I don't pay a ton of attention to who writes these, but I feel like I typically like his stuff.
Maybe I was
So
giving
it's
him like
weird.
5 extra points just because of previous love of some of his episodes.
I mean, maybe who knows? Maybe they gave him a ton of episodes to write this season. He's just like, yeah, whatever. It's a dream, and his wife's different.
And yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess maybe the idea is let's lighten things up after this kind of Kafka stuff for 20 minutes.
That's possible. I can't really. I couldn't find a whole lot about this episode. I couldn't find a whole lot of people who disliked this episode, so I don't really know. Um, I don't know how people felt or how he felt writing it. It's just for me, the twist is bad and insulting.
Well, let's put
I
yourself
don't like it.
without the twist. Let's put yourself in the situation because you were talking about how he just couldn't accept it for a really long time.
Mm-hmm.
If you woke up, I'm like, well, if in this situation I wake up and my guitars and sounds t-shirts would be gone, so that would definitely have me in a bad mood because when he's talking to Wilma, everything he says comes across as weirdly threatening.
Oh yeah, well he like grabs her and puts her up against the wall at some
Probably because he
point.
does that all the time.
Yeah, probably.
Their marriage didn't seem to be working
Oh,
out. This is for the best.
yeah, he sleeps in all of his clothes. Well, this is the first. You saw that in the trivia, right? This is like the first instance of two people in a bed in a TV show,
I did.
apparently.
I did write they are in the same bed. I guess that's TV progressive. So yeah, I noticed that was the
Mm-hmm.
case, but I didn't know it was the first.
Well, I think it's just assumed, but we don't know for sure because nobody keeps all that many records, and it wasn't like they put it on the advertisement tonight on CBS. You'll see two people in a bed. It's they just figured they could do it. It's also possibly the first instance of someone dialing a 555 number, which is also funny
Oh,
because the whole time I was like, how do you know those numbers?
that's right.
How does he know
Phone
those
numbers
numbers if
were
he doesn't exist? He
phone
knows who's
numbers
at
were
the
so
other end of the
weird.
numbers.
Phone numbers were so weird back in the day.
Klondike.
Yeah.
did you do any research on why the clot on how those numbers worked? Because I
Nope.
did. I
Oh,
did. There's a
okay.
whole
What'd
bunch
you?
of ever different cities have a bunch of different prefixes that are all different words.
Yeah, I was just like, gee, that's a
It's
weird phone number,
crazy.
and then didn't think about it much. But
Hmm.
did you? Was that your research? Did you have some more?
And basically, I was trying
Okay.
to find out what was 666, and it wasn't interesting, whatever it was.
You don't even remember?
Nah.
That's
I
too
mean, it was
bad.
like the letters correspond to the numbers. I don't know. It was not interesting enough that I would remember it, but it is pretty interesting that there's this pioneering going on of these trivial little things. Well, I guess it's not trivial for two people to be in a bed,
Right. I mean, hey, we noticed it.
unless
Oh yeah, just speaking of him being threatening though, his first line to Wilma is, "Where's the razor?" That seems nice and calming.
yeah, yeah, maybe she's lucky to have been swapped out with another person.
um, would it
But
be
but
fun?
where sorry, you were saying earlier you were sort of asking how I would react in this situation. I was thinking about this while I was watching it. I would immediately just quiet down a whole lot and start working on a plan to try and steal some identity that I could escape from all whatever the hell I just did. I definitely wouldn't grab a cop and throw him into a wall. I wouldn't go to my desk and be like, "What are you doing in my desk? This is my desk."
Well, I
Like
say
by then I would have figured out what's going on.
it would be fun to learn everyone's name in a random office and then go say hi to them, just like as a bit.
Yeah, it's like I even that early in the episode, I was just sort of like I would go into my job and tentatively say, "Hey, police officer Al, do you know me? Do you recognize me?" And then he says no, and then I would just leave. You're like, no, I gotta get out of here.
And of course, after escaping the police, and is this when he's stealing another car? He goes to the bar. That's kind of fun.
Yeah, he hotwires a huge van. Well, he tries to hotwire a few different cars, and then the van is the one that works. And then yeah, he goes to the bar
You
and
know,
sees Sam, and
th-
he says what Sam's wife. I mean, at the time, I was like, he says what Sam's wife's name is, etc., and Sam
he
does
could be a
not react.
stalker.
Well, he doesn't yeah, but he doesn't react. So I'm like, does he? But that doesn't matter because it's all a dream and all it's fake. It's all his head. It doesn't matter. Nothing that happens matters. He doesn't do any of this.
I mean, I guess the closest I've had to this is when my grandmother once told me that she never had any children, but she also had a brain tumor at the time. So,
Oh, damn.
well,
That's confusing
we act
and
at that
sad.
point it had been the case for 5 years, so everybody actually thought that was funny.
Oh yeah.
I mean, at the 5 years, and you just have to find that sort of thing funny, don't you? Um,
Yeah, unfortunately my grandmother had the type of dementia where she just stopped talking after a while. But
oh yeah, my
uh,
grandmother kept talking, so she'd say interesting stuff like
yeah.
that. Not really offensive, so that was good because I guess some
Uh,
people have dementia and turn into like uber racists or something. Where did I
well, there
just see that?
was a lot of
Oh,
friction
Gone
because
Girl.
my grandmother got mean before my grandmother got
Ah,
mean before she stopped talking.
okay.
But
See, my grandmother wasn't mean. She just would say weird
uh,
stuff like that and to keep reading the same page of a book for like years.
but the
Which
thing
that's a
is that
Twilight Zone thing, isn't it?
oh god, yeah. The thing is
But
my grandmother she only really like made upset her children because they're the ones who were more I was sort of like, oh, that's funny. When she said something mean to me, I would just be like, okay, well it's not you can't your feelings can't really be hurt by your grandparents as much as by your parents, I think.
yeah. But anyway, she was just doing like sitcom one liner, so I guess we had a better trip
Hmm,
on my end.
okay.
Um,
Yeah.
oh, what was the other? Oh, I just watched Gone Girl, where they have Ben Affleck's father who has dementia is turned into a complete aggressive curmudgeon. So I didn't have that to deal with. So that was nice. That's more like
Yeah.
this guy. That's more like Gurney here.
Yeah, it's like he already has dementia.
Right. And he's screaming at everyone and being threatening. So
But I think he's just a regular guy because uh I haven't I'm like, what other Twilight Zone protagonist does this remind me of? They're definitely much more abrasive guys than this guy.
who do you make you think of? Because I have an
Well,
answer.
Okay, you answer because it might jog my memory.
I was thinking of Walking Distance's Marty, who is in a similarly weird
Mhm.
situation, starts yelling at people and chasing himself as a kid, being like, "I want to talk to you," you know.
Maybe well the episode that this reminded me of is the episode that is called, which I will look up, the episode where the guy was an actor, but he wasn't an actor.
I know what you're talking about. I don't have the title for you. End of season one. A World of Difference. Here, I got it.
Yeah, wait, is that it?
I think so.
World of Difference. No, you're
No,
thinking of A World of His Own. And I think the guy,
that's a
I think
different one.
really.
Yeah, look, maybe like two
Oh,
episodes
you're
before
right.
that.
That's a different. Okay, he kind of reminds me of the guy from A World of His Own, but this episode reminds me of A World of Difference, which I think is a much better episode.
I'll give you that. That is like prime stuff where this is a little more boilerplate. I didn't find
But
it particularly
there's a
bad. The
point.
twist didn't bug me as much,
Yeah.
but I wasn't like, oh, this is like in my top 10 now or anything. Whereas the World of Difference, I kind of was.
Mm-hmm. That's the thing is there's a point to that, and I cannot discern what the message of this episode is aside from maybe you don't exist.
You're not a real person unless you're in my phone book. I forgot who said that, but that maybe as Carlin again. But
That's
I
probably
like.
Harvey Weinstein said that.
Ooh.
Sorry.
Why would he say that?
I don't
Okay.
know. I was just thinking of like the worst people in Hollywood, and
Okay.
that was immediately what popped into my head.
Well, no,
Um,
you say with the Carlin snark. That's what we're going for here.
but but also okay, so not only see that the photo part of the twist was nonsensical, then he wakes up and then when the second Wilma is when he's woke up and Wilma's talking to him, the second Wilma is concealing her face for a really long time. She's
Yeah, so
concealing her
long. It's
face
like
for like
obviously I
two
thought she might be
minutes.
deformed or something. She might be the pig lady again
I
from
would that would have made no sense at all, but I would have preferred that because at least it would have been like, no, I wish I was not exist, didn't exist
she's one
again.
of the eye of the beholder pig people, and then he's like,
Yeah,
close enough.
yeah,
That's my
basically.
ending.
She's one of the eye of the beholder pig people, and she's just like, all right, you ready to go to the fascist
Maybe the
speech?
message of this episode is don't drink moonshine
I
because this all starts with
think
a horrible
yeah,
hangover.
I
No,
think
they're drinking.
drinking is bad.
I,
Could be a thread here.
I guess they're. Did she say, "Do you want a Scotch martini?"
I think no. She
It's
said
not.
don't mix scotch and martinis. Like don't drink scotch
Oh,
and then drink
right.
martinis.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
okay. I think you could mix those two
unless
a little bit.
I was gonna say unless she's telling him not to literally put a scotch and a martini in the same glass and drink it.
See, that's why I was thinking this maybe because I was like, Scotch and martinis is not the worst mix. You could do a worse mix than those two.
I mean, I feel like they occupy about the same flavor palette, right?
Do you ever have like stress dreams like these though?
Um, Nothing like I don't exist type of stress dreams. I feel like if anything, my stress dreams are that I have too much responsibility. It's that I'm too much. I'm too important in my stress dreams.
I had a stress dream actually. Right, I told you I woke up late when we started this podcast a few minutes late, and I was having a stress dream right before that. I was at some kind of excuse me, some no, I'm not camp is in like out in the woods, but like like a week long thing, and I was hanging out
Mm-hmm.
with these people, and it's been a few days, and I realized like I didn't like any of these people that I was hanging out with, and that stressed me
Mm-hmm.
out.
Hmm.
And then I woke up feeling like a little gnarly, right? And then 20 minutes later we started this podcast because I was like, oh, my voice is messed up, which it turns out it just is messed up. I was like, oh, if I have coffee I'll be fine, which turned out not to be the case. But sorry folks if you're listening to Mr. Frog today.
They've already turned it off.
Yep, they're like, it's Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. I don't want that. I actually would
They're
want
like,
that
I
though.
already hate this episode, and now there's a frogman telling me about it. I'm going to turn this off.
um You want to throw out any other random observations, or shall I start asking some questions?
Let me think here. There's a point when he leaves his house and he looks at Wilma and just says nut. That was kind of funny.
Well, it's great when the craziest person, at least in the situation, calls someone else a nut. So,
Also, the guy who was Winston Churchill was very delightful.
oh, right, right. I wrote he gets to share a room with Churchill. How exciting! And I used to
Yeah.
have one of those big black dial phones, not dial tone, dial phones. I remember calling girls on those in high school because
I don't remember.
this is my parents' room, and you want to have they
Mhm.
were in the living room, so you don't want to go have a private conversation, right? So I call them on the big black dial phone
Interesting. I feel
in the
like
'90s.
I feel like the phones that we had that were big were the ones. Do you remember the ones that were like beige and you'd rent them from the phone company and the phone company got in trouble because they were after they were stopped renting phones, they just kept charging people rent for phones for years.
Maybe I was out of the country by the time that happened. I don't know,
Yeah.
um, but yeah,
No, you weren't out of the country. This was the 80s.
oh,
It was
okay.
like
Well,
they were
guess
very substantial. They were little. They were small, like a I don't know what you call that shape of just a little handheld phone with the dial in the middle of the phone, but they were
oh,
very
okay. I
heavy. Like you could
kind of know
beat
what you're
someone to
talking
death
about.
with it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. No, that we had a proper like '50s, early '60s television, big black phone, just like the one in this episode. That's why I thought it was exciting to see it.
Nice. Yeah,
I
this
assume it's
is
still in there.
this was a fun to watch episode, but it just I just found the twist stupid and insulting, and I hope that's I hope it's not just a sign of things to come, and that my shark jumping comment is completely unfounded. That
There's
we
some good
don't
ones
have
coming.
stupid stuff because yeah, this is admittedly I still have some holes in
Cavender is
my
Cavender is also coming. Says fair warning, but
okay. I mean, I have some holes in my third season watching, so I may have missed something worse
oh,
than
and your
this.
fourth season, I'm sure you have some holes in because few people have watched the fourth season of the Twilight Zone.
That's pretty interesting. It's not on Pluto TV, so I'll have to find a different way to watch it.
Right, because they're all 50-minute episodes instead of 25. So they don't
They're
fit
like,
in the
we can't
syndication.
stream those; they're too large.
They're too large to stream.
We can't fit them in our
Pluto
data
can't
pipe.
Pluto can't handle it. They'll need to move it over to Corncob TV.
I mean, Pluto TV. If you pause something and go like tab away from it, then when you go back to it, it'll basically force you to watch whatever's on the front page, and you have to reload it 6 times to get the Twilight Zone to even come back. So
Okay,
probably
stick
best
with
not to
my
use that
Blu-rays.
platform for 50-minute, yeah, for 50 minutes.
Yep, 2 points to physical media. So
For a while, it was the front page thing was like these one of those reality shows where guys work on trucks or something. So I'd just be trying to watch something and it'll be like, no, these guys are building a truck.
mm,
Anyway,
let's get to some questions. Who in this
mhm.
episode, if anyone, went into the Twilight Zone?
I mean, no one did because no one in this episode exists. Just kidding. David Gurney did. He
But
he clearly does exist.
he just had a dream though.
Yeah, his wife's different.
Did I go to the Twilight Zone because I had a dream before this podcast?
Yes, you
Okay.
did.
I mean, I didn't see my wife today because she went to work. She could look different now. I don't know. She
It's
wasn't in the
possible.
dream though.
It's possible, but the thing is, his wife is different, so he went to the Twilight Zone. That's
Okay. The fact that his wife is different, I guess, seals the deal. So otherwise, he
yep.
just had
His
a
wife changed.
pretty weird dream. I mean, I'm sure someone's had a dream like this before.
Everybody's had a dream like. I mean, okay, I haven't had a dream like this, but I don't think that a dream qualifies you for Twilight Zone because the thing is, the dream had nothing. Now I'm just gonna start screaming about this again. The dream has nothing to do with his wife being a different person. Maybe, maybe if he woke up and his wife suddenly didn't have an ID and he didn't know who she was, that's like all they really would have needed to fix this. He
Or just
wakes
flip,
up.
do a midnight sun ending.
Yeah, he wakes up. Uh, Wilma's there. Like, who are you? But that doesn't make sense because he dreamed that he had
I'm your
a wife.
wife.
Okay, well that doesn't make sense. Okay,
Well,
but
it's a Twilight
uh,
Zone. It doesn't have to make sense.
and it doesn't.
But yeah, I mean, obviously, David Gurney is the closest to dream or not, and his wife changes. So David Gurney's in the Twilight Zone.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you said earlier it's just some poor schlub thrown into this. Does that mean he does not deserve his trip into the Twilight Zone?
I'd say no. He doesn't seem like a guy who needs to learn that his wife's different. What did he learn? I don't, whatever he learned, I don't feel like he really needed to learn it. He doesn't
He learned how to
seem like
steal cars.
he doesn't seem like he was, maybe he was, maybe he was a subtly terrible person. I was supposed to pick up on that more. Maybe he did deserve to just be afraid that he didn't exist for a while.
Maybe I mean, he's entitled 50s white male. Does that make him deserve it anyway?
I mean, but by my metric, sure, but I'm trying to at least measure him by the fair like standards of 1965
True.
powerful guys, or powerful enough.
He is, I mean, his personality blows. So I mean,
Yeah.
he's in a weird situation as well. That could be exacerbating it. Maybe he's but again, he very quickly goes to shoving his wife against the wall, as you said. So that's not cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he kind of gets violent with everybody who tries to tell him he doesn't exist, which he doesn't in his dream, clearly.
Right. So he
So
is,
maybe he does deserve it.
yeah, I mean, he's a bit of a prick in how he's interacting. Like you said, you be quiet and you plan a little bit. He's 35. He can use this opportunity to start an exciting new life if he wants. But instead, he drives to the bar.
Yeah. Well, it's but the thing
Maybe
is,
he can drink
the
his
only
way out
person
of
he
this.
cares about, yeah, he just cares about Sam, and he thinks Sam is gonna save him because Sam,
Sam the Savior.
he's maybe that's why he deserves to go to the Twilight Zone. Because he's the idiot who thinks the bartender cares about him.
Yeah, there we go. At least he was paying money for his services. I was like, does he not have
Yeah,
money? But
that's
yeah.
it. That's exactly it. You think the bartender cares about you because you pay them for services. It's like the guy who thinks that the waitress is in love with him because she's nice to him
Hooker with a heart of gold.
because because he's nice to her and tips well, probably, and probably she's afraid of him.
I think that though it's that the plot is as good as it gets, I believe. Well, except he, yeah.
I don't know. What At least one person I worked with ended up dating a customer, and I was just completely baffled by it.
Yeah,
Um,
I've never
it
worked a
didn't work
restaurant.
out.
I don't know the vibe, so
Well, that's nobody will poo-poo you about that, but it just seems like a how could that possibly not be awkward?
mm.
I don't know. But also a lot of people who worked together ended up dating or getting married, which was also kind of awkward, but it's a little more understandable because you can at least relate to those people. But a customer is just, they're there to pay you money for services.
Right. Let's put this episode on the tripometer. 0 not
Okay.
trippy, 5 hella trippy.
This is kind of a tough one, but I'm gonna say 3
Okay. Any
because
qualifications?
you do get some good dream logic, even though it is a dream. Even though it is a dream, that still doesn't mean it's not trippy, even if technically those things didn't actually happen.
Right. Okay. Yes, I was
If
thinking a little more. I was thinking of 4.
mhm.
I might be falsely inflating it because I just did the one step beyonds where the twist is always like it was a ghost,
Yeah, well, I've done a little bit of trying to catch up on season 3 episodes, and I'm just immediately like, oh, this is what trippy is like.
Yeah, I should note that
Still,
this is the first zone I've recorded for 4 months, even though you will hear one
mhm,
episode before this. So
mhm.
uh that's how recording schedules work.
Yeah. Well, uh, yeah, it is trip. I think possibly the trippiest thing is just that when the picture has Wilma in it and then it doesn't, there's just no explanation for that whatsoever, which is kind of bad writing, but a trippy thing that happens.
Wait, in the photo, is it it's him that disappears, not Wilma, right?
No, Wilma disappears.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
just
that
him.
doesn't make it. It
It's just
doesn't
him
make any
going,
sense.
"Yay!"
Yeah, why
Which,
is
yeah, it
he
doesn't make
shouldn't be in the
sense.
picture. Should be just Wilma in the picture.
Yeah, who took the? Well, I mean, obviously somebody else always took the picture,
I
but the
guess
thing is,
then it'd be weird
if
he
they
had the
had
picture.
a photo that he brought in, they would at least have his name attached to the receipt, right?
Well,
I mean,
maybe the receipt is now smudged or something because it seems reality is changing around him. I guess that's where the dream
mm,
logic really kicks in. He has to be in the
yeah,
picture because he has the picture. So even though
yeah,
Wilma is still a real person, he isn't.
I think it's just bad writing.
Hmm.
But it is trippy.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
there you go.
And yeah, maybe it's cheap and lame to just write it off. It was a dream, so it can do that. But I guess that's the page wrong.
Yeah,
Um,
but I mean, we're frequently talking about Space 1999, which frequently has things that are trippy but complete nonsense. So
but
it's not like it's completely out of our wheelhouse now.
does the Twilight Zone can do you give the Twilight Zone a little more latitude for nonsense since it isn't quite science fiction, so it doesn't
I
have
mean,
to adhere to science.
yeah, this is just I guess I'm just disappointed by the amount of nonsense that gets piled on at the end here, where it just feels like it would have been so easy to do it better. It would have been just, I mean, maybe doing it better would mean doing something that was too similar to a previous episode, but I I don't know. I don't know. Just anything would have been better than, oh, it's a dream and your wife's different.
Yeah,
It's just
I
the two unrelated things that don't really work together, and neither of them are particularly interesting on separately.
mm. Was a penny for your thoughts? Dick Van Dyke. That was Dick Van Dyke in that one, or was it
Dick
Orson Bean?
York,
Dick York. Okay, Dick York, and then
wrong
Orson
Dick.
Bean. Wrong Dick. I got the Dick wrong. Okay, and
Yeah,
then Orson Bean. There's an episode with Orson Bean, and that's the one I'm completely forgetting what it is. But whichever it was with Orson Bean, the second one with Dick York, because he's also in the Purple Testament, and this one
right.
I kind of feel like are cousins. They kind of have a sim. I don't know if they were all Beaumonts or not, but they all have a bit of a similar feel to me.
I mean, yeah, a penny for your thoughts was pretty straightforward, and that's part of why it works. Is
Yeah.
because the twist is just this guy has powers and then he doesn't because of a penny. I mean, okay, that is a nonsense. It is really a nonsensical twist because it's never explained what the penny does or why it's on its side, or it's just happens. Like
Mm.
the penny doesn't even need to be there, really. Now I'm just jumping to other episodes.
Now you're just taking a flamethrower to other episodes.
We've already, I'm sure I said the exact same thing 3 years ago. Um,
Maybe. Although I remember you quite liked Depending for your thoughts as well. So
I
in that
do,
case,
I did like it. I enjoyed it.
you're very happy to grant it the nonsense. Where this one, you're like, ah, nonsense, you know, down the
Um,
chute with you.
I don't think the execution for this was. I thought the execution for this was good and close to that. That episode was written by George Clayton Johnson.
Okay.
Wow, his Wikipedia photo is crazy. Um, but sorry, but he wrote like the Prime Mover. He wrote a game of pool. He wrote Kick the Can.
Mm.
So
That's a different writer. We're here would be focusing on Beaumont, right?
it says he wrote Kick the Can. Oh, sorry, I'm talking about
You're talking,
George Clayton
yeah, yeah,
Johnson,
yeah, yeah. No, I'm talking about
not Beaumont.
right.
But he also wrote Execution and The Four of Us Are Dying. Wow, he's all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like, was it something like 80 or more of the Twilight Zones
What?
are written by Serling, but we have a couple other regulars. So,
Yeah, but yeah. Sorry, I just lost my train of thought completely. I I don't think this
derailed.
is a poorly executed episode, but I think the twist. The more I think about the twist, the dumber it seems. So I don't think I'm going to come around on it ever.
Right. Okay, I guess we'll close it down today in part because my voice is barely working, but
Where'd go suck on some menthol cigarettes.
Dick Menthol, popular TV
Yeah,
star of the 50s.
yeah, I'm Dick Menthol, star of Smoke 'em if you got 'em.
As for this is time enough podcast. We are that on X. We are that on Twitter, which is the same thing. We're that on Facebook,
Mm-hmm.
kind of. And then you could support us and other podcasts we do on Patreon at podcastius.com. That's where Mark and I talk about Space 1999 and Podcast 1999. We talk about the 100 best films and the 100 worst films as rated by IMDb viewers, users on Films and Filth, the Citizen Kane of podcasting. Yes, I did just completely forget the title for about 2 seconds. And there
Oh.
are video game ones, such as Luke Loves Pokemon about Pokemon, Hyrule Field Report about Zelda, and the game show where gamers game each other about the games. Okay.
Yep.
We sputtering. So, let's go out today and see if anyone has morphed into like a different person. And then you will say this is the
Yeah.
smartest episode ever. So get
Yeah,
back
then
to
I'll if I show up and my roommate is different
get
after I
back
have
to
a
us.
dream about not existing, then you know, just
Then you
until
were
next
right,
time,
episode. You were right.
until next time, listeners, try to keep existing.